Hello friendos and randos, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be introducing, of course, the deck that I've been playing for the OP08.5 set, which is Red Blue Marco. I think Marco is really powerful as a leader. I think it had a lot of potential, especially coming off of the new starter deck releases, specifically the ST15 Whitebeard starter deck. I think it gave it two very good cards, which of course I'll talk about in a little bit. The 7 cost Newgate and the 5 cost Ace, which really boosted it from, I guess, maybe tier 2 or 3 into a very solid tier 1 contender. I think it has decent matchups into Red Purple Law as well as Black Lucci, and that's why I've been playing it for the past couple of flagships to pretty decent results. I think my record is 3-2, 4-1, 4-1. So pretty good leader. I think you should definitely try it, and I'm going to show you my deck list and what the deck kind of tries to do and how to play it really. So, quickly talking about the Marco Leader's effect. Down times 1, activate main once per turn. Draw 1 card, and then you may place 1 card from your hand to the top or bottom of your deck. And then after that, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2000 power for this turn. So, very strong leader effect, being able to cycle your deck every turn. It is an activate main effect, so you can use it before or after attacking. And you can also use it on your first and second, your 1 Dawn or 2 Dawn turn, just by attaching 1 Dawn to leader. So I think it's a very powerful leader effect. So let's talk about how the cards in the deck synergize with it. And I did mention earlier the new 7 cost Newgate from the starter deck, and why this card synergizes so well with this leader is because its effect is on play, attach 1 rested Dawn to your leader or characters. So straight away you can use its effect to attach a rested Dawn, and then now your leader effect is online again. So the second effect is also what makes this really powerful. Activate main, you may rest this character, and if you do, you can KO one of your opponent's 5k power or lower characters. So in combination with your leader effect, on your 7 Dawn turn, you can KO up to a 7k power character, which is almost every 6 cost unit in the game, except for vanillas are 6 cost 7k. So you're able to KO anything on curve, which is really strong. And of course, if you're against, let's say, RP Law, and they have a rested 5 cost and an active 5 cost unit, you can use Newgate, attach 1 Dawn to your leader effect on the rested unit, and smack 6 into the 3k, and then rest the Newgate to KO the standing 5k. So it's a very strong effect, and it combines really well with some of your other cards as well. So just with your leader and the Newgate, you can KO up to 7k, and if you combine an Otama with this, you can KO up to 9k. So it's really good. So I feel this card is what really brought the deck back from its tier 2, tier 3 kind of level to something that is a very solid tier 1 contender. Okay, next up is, of course, with the leader effect being able to set a card on top of your deck, one of the more obvious choices as well is the 9 cost Sanjip. 9 cost Sanjip I think is really good in this deck because of the fact that it does allow you to play something from your hand basically for free. By using your leader effect, you draw 1 card, and then after that you put 1 back on top from your hand. So this is what you use to get board advantage. So you can rig cards like, of course, this 7 cost Newgate, and another very notable option is the 9 cost Newgate. So I'm playing 3 copies of the Sanji, and I'm also playing 3 copies of 9 cost Newgate. I think 9 cost Newgate is really good as well. There are a couple of deck lists that are omitting 9 cost Newgate as an option, but the reason from my testing it's been a very strong card is because in the RP Law matchup especially, being able to slam Sanjay into Newgate actually puts you in a very safe position and also sets you up for lethal the following turn very consistently. Usually by this time in the game, your RP Law opponent will be at around 2 life, and by slamming Sanjay into Newgate, you are usually swinging for another 8k swing, which will put them at 1, and then you're usually able to end the game next turn with 9-10 and then your leader swing as well. Not to mention the Newgate effect being, of course, when attacking down times 2, you can KO a 3k power unit. In conjunction with your leader effect, you're able to KO a 5k blocker very easily. And on top of that, with again cards that reduce power like Otama or the new Tatch, you're also able to get a 6 or 7k blocker with only 1 extra non-investment, which is really good. So top end wise, I like Newgate, Sanji, and then the 9 Newgate, and as well, lastly, I have 2 more, which is the 8 cost Rayleigh from OP08. I think Rayleigh is a very strong card in this deck as well. The primary use case for Rayleigh is twofold. Firstly, in matchups like RP Law, you're able to use it on curve to KO a 6k power unit, as well as save you about 1k counter by using it on a 5k body. So usually they won't attack with that body the following turn. An important thing to note is that if you're looking to KO something and you are also using your leader effect on that turn, make sure to use your leader effect first, and then if possible you KO the character that is reduced by your leader effect. This is because Rayleigh's reduction is permanent until the following turn, whereas of course your leader's effect only lasts until the end of this turn. So for example, if your opponent has a 5k unit that you're looking to KO, you use your leader effect, -2 to the 5k unit, and then after that you play Rayleigh, KO the 5k unit, and -3 and -2 to 2 different units. Alternatively, if you're looking to KO a 6k unit, you -2 to the 6k unit, and then with Rayleigh's effect, -2 to the 6k unit again, and then -3 permanently to another unit, and then you KO the 6k that way, which is still more efficient, and it still gives you that -3 for the following turn. So in this deck, I think Rayleigh is really good. Of course, using your leader effect to rig Rayleigh on the top of your deck for Sanji is also really powerful, because you already get the -2 from your leader effect while setting Rayleigh on the top of your deck. That being said, I think this is the top end ratio that I liked for this deck. Initially, I was on 3 of everything, and then I moved to 4 Newgate when Dofi became a bit more popular, because I think this card is very, very powerful into Dofi. It really helps you with the board control, and if it eats a hit, I think it's also very good, because if it eats a hit, the next turn you can slam Newgate, and then you will be in a very good position as well. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about some of the supporting cards for the deck that kind of let you reach this point in the game where you can just continuously slam big bodies. So first up is Sanjip's Pilaf. Of course, familiar card to anyone who's played against Nami. Activate main event, draw 2 cards, and then trigger, draw 2 cards as well. Very, very good. This is your primary play for your 3 Dawn as well as your 4 Dawn turns. Of course, you would use it before your leader effect usually, so that you draw 2, and then after you've seen the new cards, then you leader effect and bottom something accordingly. On top of that, I really like that it synergizes very well with the 7 cost Newgate. So on your 10 Dawn turns, you can do Sanjip's Pilaf to draw 2, and then you play 7 cost Newgate, building a body as well as still allowing you to use your leader effect and clearing a 7k body as well. So this is a very, very good combo for your 10 Dawn turns, the 7 Newgate and the Sanjip's Pilaf. On top of that, it does synergize with some of the other cards that you have in your deck as well, which I will tell you about very shortly. But next up, we also have 3 of OP03 Fire Fist. So Fire Fist is a must include, I think mainly because of the red-purple law matchup. Most often you will see this card being used on your 5 or 6 Dawn turn to clear Pudding and Shachi Pen, or a 5k body and a 6k body with your leader effect. So that will be the most common use case for this, and the most common turn is again 5 or 6 Dawn turn, or if your opponent does Pudding Shachi Pen on their 3 Dawn turn, you can actually do this on 4 and you get a lot of value out of it as well. Okay, next up we have the 3-cost the Flamingo blocker. This is a really, really good card as well. This is going to be your primary play on 3 Dawn as well, other than Sanjip's Pilaf. So this deck, I think, relies a lot on getting the right pieces at the right time. Most importantly would be, of course, the Newgate on 7, and if you're able to do Sanji on 9, is also very powerful. So a very common play for me is to put down Doflamingo on my 5 Dawn turn, and then after that try to set up for Sanji on my 9 Dawn turn. Now, another good thing about this deck is that if you have, let's say you have Sanji and Newgate already in hand, if you're going first, but before your 9 Dawn turn, what you can do is you can leader effect, draw 1 card, then put the Newgate from your hand back on top, and then you use the Doflamingo, and then you adjust your hand such that the Newgate comes out at the 9 Dawn turn. So that's a very common play that you will see me do a lot. I will probably do like Dofi on my 7 Dawn turn, for example, so that I can set up this Newgate play on 9 with Sanji. So another common play is, with all of the 3-cost units here, is on 7 Dawn turn, if I do miss the Newgate and I do have Sanji in hand already, I will do something like leader effect, setting the Newgate on the top of my deck, and then after that I will Fire Fist, and then I will Dofi, or I will Pilaf and I will Dofi, and that is how I set up my 7 Dawn turn into my 9 Dawn Sanjip new gate. So Dofi, very very strong card, quite a key card as well. Of course, it is a cheap blocker, which is really good. And in the later stages of the game, since it is also 3 cost, you can also drop Dofi and a new gate in order to clear one body as well as set up a blocker. So very very good card. Next up, we also have 4 of the 5 cost Marco. So this is primarily an inclusion for number 1, playing against Lucci, because it is a sticky character. And number 2, because against RP Law on your 6 Dawn turn, if your opponent drops a 5 cost character, a 5k power character, you can leader effect into 5 cost Marco and KO that 5k, which is pretty good tempo. So big fan of using that combo as well. Next, we have 4 of Otama. So Otama, like I mentioned earlier, a bunch of different combos you can do. So of course you have the 7 new gate with conjunction with Otama and your leader effect, you can KO a 9k body. On top with the new gate, with your leader effect, you can KO a 7k body, and with Fire Fist, of course, you can KO like 8 plus 5 or 4 plus 9, a lot of different combinations. And I think it's probably one of the most staple 2k counters in red. You're going to see it be, again, a very very useful card as well. Next up on 2k counters, we are going to use 3 of the new starter deck attach. So he is going to his effect, for those who are unfamiliar, is on play, if your leader is the Whitebeard Pirates type, give up to one of your bonus characters minus 2k power, and then after that you can add 1 life card to your hand. So it is basically additional copies of Otama, with the cost of taking a life. But the notable thing is that the taking of life is after the power reduction. So if you're at 0 life, you can still use this card. You can still use this card to do the power reduction, especially on lethal turns. So it is very very good. Just additional copies of Otama basically. And I'm also running 1 copy of Jozu, just because I feel like that rush option is always going to be good. And I like to play 1 of 2Ks in some of my decks as well, because it does sometimes confuse my opponents in terms of how much 2K I'm actually running when they're doing their lethal math. So I'm only running 8 2Ks, but I'm also running 4 of the 0 cost counter event, specifically the red one, anti-mana kick cost. The trigger is better, so that's why we're running the red one. So discard 1 card and give one of your leaders or characters plus 3k power. So very very good card, especially in this deck list. You'll see that there is a lot of no counter already. Just on the board, we're already at, I think, 19 no counter cards. So this is a really really good staple card when it comes to just staying healthy, especially in the later stages of the game, especially when it comes to unknown cards from your life pile. It's really good to just keep 1 anti-mana kick cost in your hand for the later stages of the game. Next up, we also have 2 Radical Beams. So this card is quite a powerful counter event. For 1 Dawn, you get 4k counter, and it's very common for me to just stay up in the later stages of the game by placing down new gate and then holding 1 Dawn open, and then basically saying, if you don't kill me this turn, then I'm going to win next turn. And with the 7k leader base plus 4k counter, is really difficult to push through usually, even with multiple attacks. Next, we have the two of the 5 cost Rush Ace. So a lot of decks are running this at 4 off. Personally, I feel like from my testing, it doesn't feel like that strong of a card. Particularly versus Lucci is very good because it does, of course, stay on the board, just like the 5 cost Marco. The one thing that I don't like is that usually when against Lucci they KO it, then they'll be able to smack 5 or 6k into it, and I have to burn a lot of counter for it. What's common of a play is that you will play down the ace, and then after that, the next turn you will play new gate, and they can only clear one or the other. So it gives you a lot more, I guess, freedom, because you will be able to maintain that 6k swing into face every turn, which is also powerful. Okay. Next is a blocker that I think is a bit unconventional. Most people are not probably running this in their list, but I feel that because the Flamingo is so strong of a card, I wanted even more copies of him. So I'm also running 2 of the 5 cost X-Drake. So this card's effect is blocker, and on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then place them at the top or bottom. So I think this deck is really reliant on curving out the right pieces. So there are times where my Dofi, for example, sees 5 events or 5 2k counters or something like that, and I don't really want to see those in the next couple of turns, so I will shift them all to the bottom. And on the 3 Dawn turn, if I do that, on the 5 Dawn turn, usually I'll be able to do X-Drake instead, and see if I can find my 7 cost new gate on the 7 Dawn turn. Just having this makes it a lot more consistent as well. And I think having the 6k blocker is really good in this deck because I'm not running that many 2k counters. So being able to protect myself a little bit easier and save my hand size by having a 6k blocker is also really good. Next is 2 copies of 4-cost Mako. So initially I wanted to cut this card as well because I felt like without playing the EZO version of the deck, I actually didn't have that many Whitebeard Pirates to use as fuel for the Mako. But I think the reality of it is that it is a really good card into decks like Dofi, into Katakuri, into NL, because it really does save you a lot of counter. So at the end of the day, I decided to keep it as an inclusion still. Of course, it does have a lot of weaknesses. It's not very good into Red Purple Law. It's very easily bounced by things like the bouncing 4-cost Law now. But I think in matchups other than those two, it really does do a lot of work. Okay. Lastly, I have another 3 cards left in the deck. So first, I have 2 of the 4-cost Pudding. I think this card is going to be very key in your matchups like NL as well as BY Luffy. You're able to, of course, reduce your opponent's hand size very significantly with this card. Even against RP Law, it's not too bad. On your 5 Dawn turn, for example, after you've done a Pilaf or a Dofi, you can leader effect, swing for 6, and then drop a Pudding. Very often, your opponent will be taking the first 2 hits as RP Law, so they may go down to 2 life, and that puts you in a very good position to drop them from like 7 to 5. So just reducing 2 hand cards just like that is really good. And the last card that I'm playing is a 1 copy of Fire Fist, the OP08 version. So this card is really good in conjunction with the 7-cost Newgate, mainly because on your 9 Dawn turn, you can answer a Moria plus Rebecca with Fire Fist and Newgate. So you can drop Newgate and then Fire Fist the Moria to -4, and then KO the Rebecca with 0 power, and then you can tap the Newgate to KO the Moria, which is now 5k. So this combo is really good. Usually you're gonna use it on like the later turns, probably not the 9 Dawn turn specifically, because most of the time Lucci won't be doing like a Rebecca Spendine combo so early, because they usually don't like have enough trash for that. But in the later stages of the game, this combo is really good. Other than with the Newgate, you can also combo this plus leader effect into 5-cost Mako to KO Moria plus Rebecca as well, which is also very strong, and it also leaves you an extra 2 Dawn to like attach to swing with any of your other characters, which is also very good. So that being said, this is the deck list for Red Blue Mako. It is what's been working for me. I think I quite like the deck as well. I think the playstyle is pretty good. It's very consistent of a deck because of how many, for one, the scrying that you have with the Dofi as well as the X-Drake, as well as your leader effect. And I think although my ratios are like not the most consistent, I feel like this is what works for me. If you wanted to make it a little bit more consistent, maybe what I would cut is the X-Drakes for either more blocker Makos or for the 4 Fire Fist and maybe another Ace, something like that. That being said, this is what works for me. I think you should definitely try it out. There's a lot of different versions of Mako online. There's of course the 5-cost Ace and Atmos version as well that you can try. This is what I think works best, and I think my success rate is pretty good with it. All of that being said, I've yet to go 5-0 with it, but hopefully that will be coming sooner or later. And I will be playing this for the rest of 8.5. Maybe I will edit the ratios here or there, but this is basically what I'll be playing. That being said, maybe I'll drop some gameplay of this list sometime in the future, but for now, this is what the list is. Thank you for watching so far, friendos and randos. If you liked it, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to drop a comment and I will try to reply as much as I can. That's it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again next time. Peace out.